Should be live. Let me get my glasses on. All right. I think we're live. The audio may not be very loud because the microphone's a little bit far away from me. I'll try and mend that as best I can. Hope everybody's doing good. Cool. You had the night off. Nice. Good for you, Hugh. I'm gonna go ahead and close my window. As you can hear, it's popular around here to have really stupid loud vehicles. You guys are idiots. Gotta be loud so it shows how big your penis is. That's the deal. Gotta be loud so you can prove how big of a ego you have, I suppose. Hey, Bill, you made it. Thank you. I'm glad to see you. Now you're able to chat. I love it. That's awesome. Getting her all figured out. I'm going to dive right into this. I'm not going to mess around talking too much. This particular Fender, it's considered a Jagmaster. It's basically like what would it be, an SG special, just a single volume and tone control, obviously, and then a 3-position switch, double humbuckers. He has turned this guitar into absolute player grade guitar. Replaced the neck with a Fender Stratocaster neck. It's obviously not a Strat. This was sold as a Jagmaster. Now, I've done a little bit of preemptive work on the guitar. I cleaned up the body using the old 65 Dunlop. Hey, Charlie, welcome, brother. Dude, Charlie, you guys, be sure to check out Charlie's channel. He's been working really hard on getting his audio and everything dialed in, and his live streams just sound fantastic now. My compliments to you on the hard work that you put in. Believe me, I know. And I've watched you do it. So check him out. And he also plays Larrabee guitars and Taylor guitars, which, I don't know, in my book are two of the greatest acoustic guitars ever built. Yeah. So it's great to see you, Charlie, Bill, Hugh. I'm hoping that, Bill, I'm hoping that my Uncle Steve will be able to find this and tune in. I look forward to the banter that I might that might come my way having you two dudes in it. And I asked everybody to say hi to Bill Keenum. He is a big part of my guitar playing life. If you all knew how far back we go, I was born and he was friends with my parents. So he's known me from the day I was born. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Charlie. Okay. So I initially I'm gonna clean up these frets on this guitar. Things are really dirty. I know that the camera isn't showing it, and you're probably not going to be able to see how much of a difference this will make. But the process I go through, I use semi-chrome polish. Thanks to Jerry Rosa from Rosa String Works, turned me onto this stuff, and I've obviously used quite a bit of it. The tube's getting a little narrow, which is fine. Takes just a little bit, although these frets are really dirty, so I'll probably need to use a little bit more. We're going to go through the normal stuff that you've seen on my channel many times, but we're going to get these frets all shiny, and then we'll clean the fingerboard and treat it with some good old linseed oil. So I'm just going to start here, and Scott, the gentleman who owns this guitar, is the lead vocalist and rhythm guitar player, and sometimes he plays melody riffs in some of our tunes. I better get my table's kind of wobbly here, so if it gets a little blurry. Yeah, I don't know if my Uncle Steve is actually watching, and if he is, I'm not sure if he knows how to chat in the chat. So I did send him a text with how to log in, because I set him up while I was in St. Louis to be able to use YouTube to see my channel when I go live and to get notifications and all of that. So I'm hoping that he'll make it. So keep bugging him about that, and he might need some help, which I don't know if I'm not going to call him while I'm doing this live stream. Yeah, these frets are really nasty. You can see all that guck. And Scott, you know, he has what I consider toxic sweat. He breaks a lot of guitar strings just banging on rhythm guitar. Typically the treble E string and the B string, I think he broke a B string last night at our gig, but I have his, as a smart musician, he takes 2 guitars to every gig. And so he grabbed his other one, which is a virtual identical guitar to this one. And again, I hope you all can hear me okay. It sounds like you can. Nobody's hitting me up with, I can't hear you. And I'm just talking into my camera mic here, so I don't have like a high. Look at all this shit coming off. This guitar probably hasn't had a good deep cleaning for definitely in years, I'm guessing. I can tell you that, so this is going to take a little bit to get all these frets cleaned. So I'm just going to stay nose to the grindstone here. We'll get these things all polished up and shiny. They won't look real great initially, but as I move through this, they'll be very much mirror-like, is my hope. They're in really pretty good shape. There's definitely some fret wear in this area of the neck where they've been dented. He plays a lot of bar chords in this area of the neck. Even up to the 11th, 12th fret, there's some wear in the frets. But we're not going to do a fret level on this thing. It's not worthy of it yet. The dents are not so deep that it needs to have a fret level. And I only say that because if this was my guitar, I wouldn't do a fret level on it just yet. I'd give it some more playing time and let him get worn down a little bit more. He's probably got a few years, maybe a year or 2 left before we needed to consider doing a fret level. Last night's gig was at Marcy's Lounge, I believe, in Walla Walla, Washington. Walla times 2. And I want to say thank you very much to John, the bartender David, and the bartender John, and Peggy, the owner's mom. She was such a sweetheart. I can't remember everybody's name that I met there, but I met the owner's mom and dad, and they were just sweethearts, and met a lot of new friends, had a lot of people come up to the band during the time we were playing and after we were done, just thanking us for putting on a great show. We all played really, really well last night. You'd all have been proud of me and the guys in the band. I also want to thank my bandmates, Scott, Jace, and Jacob. Those guys held it down. We played a couple tunes last night that I hadn't played for a long time. You can see all this shit coming off of this fingerboard. It's pretty gnarly. And this kind of, I don't know, I'd have to say it's oxidation maybe, and just kind of corrosion that happens from toxic sweat and just not being cleaned. Scott doesn't give a shit, really. He doesn't need to play a real, fancy looking, shiny ass guitar, but we're just going to give it that, spring cleaning is what I'm going to call this. It was due. I'm going to try and pay as close attention to the chat as I can. Let's see. Yeah, thanks, Bill. You ever use an alloy brush to clean frets. I never do. I use this polish to get them nice and shiny once again, get all the corrosion off of them. I've never used metal brushes on frets. That might not be a bad idea, but as you can see, the process that I'm using right now does not take very long to do. In some cases, you know, I'm kind of, well, I'm not going to do a fret level on this, but you know, as I get more into it, this is the kind of stuff that I discover when I'm working on, let's just say, your guitar. You know, I have to get into it to see what's really wrong with it. You gotta dig in a little bit, and now that I'm cleaning these frets, they're definitely worn pretty good. So I think I'm going to recommend to Scott that that we do a fret level on this thing, because these frets in this area of the neck, we play a lot of songs in the key of B flat, E minor, definitely A minor, you know, the money hole right here for bar chords. If you know how to play bar chords, I know some people don't mess with them very much because they can be difficult, but you got to put your time in to learn them. But definitely has dented these frets. He's a bar chord master, man. He plays a lot of bar chords, and he has great timing. And so when he starts a song off, the tempos are always right. The guys in the band are always used to playing the songs at the same tempo. So it's always a great deal. And he's the founding member of the band Some People. And a lot of these songs that we play they've been played since the day that band was formed. So you know, we're all very familiar with this music. And so I you know, kudos to Scott for being so diligent on playing stuff at tempo and keeping the tempos pushed. And you know, another thing about our gig last night was the audience participation was just absolutely fantastic. You know, when we'd play something up and rocking, people got up and danced and just had a blast. You know, we did, what's that song? What I Like About You. And they just turned me loose playing guitar solos on that tune. And we just had a blast, and watching people get up and get nutty on the dance floor. It was really cool. Super fun gig, super fun interaction with the audience. The sound, there was a gentleman in the audience. We started on our second set, and I got to get some paper towels. We started into our second set, and a gentleman from the audience, you know, and he could tell he knew I was running sound, and he came up and said, I was making an adjustment or something at the board. I needed to adjust my monitor. He walked up to me and said, "Hey, can you turn the bass guitar up?" And I'll tell you what, for being a guy that's playing guitar in the band, running sound, running monitors for the band, making all the adjustments to the board, and you know, it allows the other guys in the band to pay close attention to their responsibilities. Having somebody come up and say, "Hey man, bring that bass up," from the audience, I can't tell you how important that is and how much it meant to me to have him come up and say that, because I did make that adjustment, and I believe instantly the band just it just filled in the whole thing. And I wasn't standing out front. I could hear the bass great on stage, but I can't hear it from the audience perspective all the time. So some bands may not be so open to that sort of thing, but if you're at a Some People show and you want me to make an adjustment to the soundboard, you can always come up to me and ask me to make that change. Hang on, I got to get some paper towels. Give me a second here. All right. Yeah, we had such a blast. Oh, and another thing that happened last night was there's a young lady that lives in Walla Walla. She was a waitress at a bar over there that some people played at monthly a couple years ago before the pandemic happened. Um, and I hadn't seen her for going on 3 years. And she came out to our show, and it was so neat to see her again. I got a picture of us together and met her boyfriend, Chris, who was a really cool guy, and got to visit with her and catch up a little bit on what she's been up to. And she's no joke, man. And we've the two of us have we've stayed in very close contact over text messages. She is a bodybuilder, and holy smokes, you guys. I mean, what an inspiration to me being a type 1 diabetic, and to watch her discipline with diet and her exercise routine. You know, if you want to be a professional bodybuilder, you got to kind of control your lifestyle and your eating and all that stuff, just like if you were a diabetic. The discipline is enormous. You have to, you know, watch your diet, watch your exercise, no alcohol, that sort of stuff. And she was just such an inspiration to me, and it was so fun to talk with her. We've talked back and forth, and so I got to see her again last night. She's just beautiful. Oh my God, you guys. Beautiful woman, just super kind. It was so fun to get to spend some time with her again last night. And her boyfriend Chris was really cool. It was just so nice to get to meet him in person and to get to see her again. So just a really, really fun night at Marcy's. Everybody was so great. And the audience was just fantastic. Look at that. Nasty. Got the nasty shit off the neck. I'm going to try and avoid using the F word today, but if I slip, you know, that's all right. But I'll do my best. All right, so we're doing the classic, you know, set up by Marshall cleaning first. I tell everybody I spend half of my life working on guitars cleaning them. Because God forbid a guitar player ever clean their guitar, right? That's what I get paid to do. Although I'm probably not going to get paid to do this. And the owner of the guitar may actually be in the chat today at some point. I don't know. He's working. He owns a business, and so he had to play a gig last night, and the guy had to go to work today. So we got home roughly it was 12 o'clock last night, 12 p.m. And we were all ready for bed. So much fun. Toothbrush. Yeah, I'll be using it. Hey, Zach, what's happening, brother? My lefty brother. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean it pretty good. Yeah, look at that thing. It's my favorite toothbrush. I've been using this one quite a while. It gets my teeth good and clean though too, I promise. All right. So here we go. Now, I don't know what all I'm going to run into on this guitar. I know that he doesn't use his neck position pickup very often, and it's kind of out of adjustment. And I don't know if that's happened over time, but I am going to set the pickup height for him today. And if he wants to just drop that one down, that's easy to do because, you know, we could get to a gig and he'd be like, "Hey, Marshall, I don't like what you did with my pickup." And I take tools with me to gigs so I can fix my guitar if it breaks. Just saying. So we can make that adjustment if it, but I'm going to set it up so that, you know, if I was playing the guitar, that's how I would want it to be. And, you know, I told him I wasn't going to tweak, but we'll just give it a good health checkup, health inspection, get the intonation all dialed in. Try and be as quick as I can about this today. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm also working. I can talk and work at the same time. You know, and that's kind of funny because being a journeyman plumber, I had to talk and work at the same time when I was training my apprentices in that. So I'm well adapted at being able to talk and be productive at the same time. Some people would just stop whatever they're doing and just talk. So that's my MO, and I like it. Look at that. Didn't that neck just come back to life? Isn't that gorgeous? Um, so I'm getting to spend my last couple of days of vacation. I've been on vacation for a week. Been really a wonderful time. Spending my last couple days of vacation working. I love it. The old saying, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Yeah. All right. So with just the linseed oil, you just wipe it on, wipe it off. Then I go back over all the frets and get all the oil off of the tops of the frets and make them shine. They get a little dull looking when you get the linseed oil on them. You just wipe it off real quick. And I'm not at work, so I don't have all of my my tools that I would normally use at this point. But I am going to, now we'll check that here in a bit. I'm going to go ahead and string her up right now. So we'll, because I know this guitar doesn't need much. I could have just thrown a set of strings on it and he'd have been fine with that. We're using the Ernie Ball coated Slinky titanium. These are the strings that he really likes. I don't know if you guys have tried these. I don't use them. I just use regular Slinkies. And I don't have any trouble with it, but he enjoys these strings. I think he likes the way they feel when he plays them. So he's been using these for a long time. And I remember it was probably 10 to 12 years ago when he switched to these coated strings. We both tried them. Now, I didn't really care for them a lot. And so I didn't decide to stick with them, but he tried them out and he just fell in love with them. So that's what he uses. So here we go. I don't know if these strings last any longer. I don't recall him saying anything about, well, I don't break strings as often, or you know, I don't have to change them quite as often, anything like that. So here we go. And this little trick I'm showing you, I've showed it on lots of my videos, but if you're stringing up a guitar, this is a quick way to get them in there without having to, you know, do all the pulling. Let gravity work for you. And it's kind of fun. So I'm just staying busy here. Sometimes you got to work a little bit to get the string to go through the saddle, but you know, it's work. And we tune to E standard at 440 hertz. So that one's going to play a little hard to get. So we'll be tuning this up. I got a snark tuner here. We'll tune it with the snark. I bought my cousin while I was in Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, St. Louis. I bought my cousin a snark tuner because he didn't have one. He had some old school tuners that were just like really hard to use. Those are all little dings in the finish. Yeah, this guitar's been played. It's had the hell played out of it. I mean, this thing's been played a lot. He's been using this guitar playing live for going on, oh boy. Oh, let me get the camera up here in the business. Here we go. 2 wraps. Poke it through the hole over the top of your wraps. You don't need to tie a knot. You don't need to go through the fucking hole. Oops, I said the F word. You don't need to go through that thing twice. This string, once it's stretched and in tune, it ain't going anywhere. And he broke a string last night. This is how he changes his strings, exactly like I do it. He had a new string on his guitar, on this guitar, in a matter of about 3 minutes. Had the old one off, the new one on, and back in the show. And that was during our set break because he had a spare guitar at the gig. So another important thing if you're playing live is it's important to take a spare guitar with you in case you have a major malfunction with your number one. 2 wraps. Whoop. Look at that. I'm getting a little, I'm roughhousing it. Come on. There we go. 2 wraps. Poke it over your wraps. No need to tie a knot. No need to poke it through the wraps. It does nothing other than create a spot where your strings can snap off by cutting themselves. That sounds like D. No, it doesn't. Trying to make a land world record. And on the unwound strings, 3 wraps. Over your wraps. Don't tie a knot. Don't do any of that stuff. Because I know that Scott's going to break a string on this guitar at one of our gigs in the near future. And I know that when he does, he can get the string off of there. And I don't have to mess with it at gigs. Scott's a well-versed musician, and he's a consummate professional. And he takes care of his own guitars. But you know, he doesn't have time to do all this stuff, and he knows that this is what I do for a living, and I do it all the time. So he's trusting me to get his guitar set up, and it's probably long overdue, but worked great last night. I don't know. All right, and then one more. Get it. 1, 2, 3. Over the top of the windings. Don't tie a knot. I keep saying it, but some guys really need to hear it because they bring their guitars into me and it takes me 5 minutes to get the damn string off of there and a pair of wire cutters and all sorts of stuff. Look at that. Now it's in tune. Let me get my snark. It's over here on my 12 string. All right. So we're going to be able to now, we're going to check the neck relief and do all that stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and stretch the strings out first and get them. Look at that. Boy, awful close. That's by ear, by the way. But, you know, I just got done playing a gig last night, so I don't know where E is. It's fresh in my mind. It's nice to know that my relative pitch is still legit. I am noticing already that these strings stretch out really nicely. I don't have to, like regular slinkies. Normally these seem to, yeah. I mean, you can see what I'm doing to these strings and not being nice. You guys might, I wish you could feel how much tension I'm putting on these strings when I'm stretching them out. I'm not being gentle. But I've done it so much that I know where the breaking point is of strings. I can feel it, and so I'm really careful about that. But boy, again, I'm not nice about this stretching. And this one, I can see I need to pull this. Come on now, different pair of dikes that I'm not used to using very often. I usually do my own work at my own guitars at my bench at work. We're almost there. We're almost done tuning. The old tuning song. I hope everybody's having a really great Saturday. Mine's been going really pretty darn good so far today. Coffee is really good. I made some good coffee. Went down and embezzled some guitar strings from my shop. All right, we're getting there. We're almost done. It's almost done. All right, capo. I need a capo. Where's my capo? I got one around here someplace. What guitar is it on? There it is. All right, let's check the neck relief on this thing. We'll see what the neck relief is doing. I may have to get some more tools out. We shall see. Let me get this camera pointed at the right place. Here we go. Look at that thing. Isn't that gorgeous? It's perfect for stage, man. It looks great when the lights hit it. It just has a nice look to it. So let's see. What's our neck relief doing? Wow. That's perfect. So I don't have to mess with that. So that's good. The neck relief is just, I don't need to touch that. I don't have to touch the truss rod. Now we're going to check our string action, see how high we are. Now, this is a Fender, so I do it like good old Leo expects us to do it. And I check it at the 17th fret. So we've got a little bit of discrepancy here. I'm going to have to make a little bit of string action adjustment. We'll see what I can get away with, and I may have to make some changes. Sometimes when you measure, if you've got, especially with worn frets, you can get the string action right, but the strings are not following the neck radius at this point. I can tell that. So I need my metric keys. I'm almost certain these are metric adjustment nuts. We'll see. It should be a 1.5 millimeter. Should be, unless it's the standard. Yeah, look at that. These are, because he put these graphite saddles on here, so now no longer made in China. They're made in the U.S. and they have standard or imperial. So it's probably a 0.050 thousandths, I guess. Look at that. Oh boy. So, okay. This is the right size wrench, but, oh, there we go. Okay. Let's check it here. So the low E is fine, but the A string was a little bit low. Yeah, the string action is a little bit low. We're going to raise that just a touch. These are really nice saddles. Ooh, that one's a little sticky. There we go. Let's see where we're at now. Now we're talking. And the D string needs to come up. Just a hair. These are real subtle adjustments I'm making. There we go. G string just a tiny little bit. There we go. I'm gonna bring it just a touch more. So what I'm doing right now, it's not really raising the string action, but more so getting the strings to follow the neck radius, which makes playing chords and stuff a little more ergonomic. Um, and I'm also making sure that the saddles are all sitting very flat with relationship to the top of the guitar. There we go. That B string looks nice. And I can already see now that the strings are really following the radius of the neck nicely. And I know that, you know, a lot of guys want to have that string action as low as possible, but sometimes you can actually set your string action too low. And while you look at it and you think, oh man, that's so low and it plays really nicely, it can actually impede your playing a little bit. That's been my experience. I won't speak for every guitar player in the world. But sometimes having them up a little bit is actually better. Now this treble E string is up higher than the rest, so I'm going to play it and see what the deal is. Okay, we got good. We got no fret now, but I want to bring it down because it's actually a little bit higher than I think is legit. Just measuring it. I'm going for at the 17th fret. I'm going for on the treble E string. I'm looking for 3/64. Nailed it. Now let's make sure. Let's make sure we don't have any fret buzz. And I'll take a look at the chat here in just a moment. Zero fret buzz. Yeah, man, these strings are nice. They hold tune really nicely. Okay, so this thing's playing really nicely at this point. I think we've done a little bit of an improvement on the setup on this guitar. No major changes. The guitar is really solid. Again, it's been customized with the neck and the saddles and all that stuff. So, you know, it's a really, really solid guitar. There's nothing fancy, right? So that's all looking good. Let's check the pickup height. This is the one thing that I can see definitely needs to be adjusted. Let's see what's going on with these guys. Okay. Oh, oh wow. Let me yeah, this pickup. Yeah, these pickups are way too far away from the strings at this point, so we're gonna raise these up. I'm hoping. Yeah, it's moving just like it's supposed to. All right. And I'm just using my string gauge and I'm measuring 4/64. I'm sorry, 8/64. Got a little aggressive there. Going 8/64 on the bass E string. Come on. Which is 4/32, which is where I usually measure, but I don't have the same measuring device here at home. This one's a little bit low. We're gonna bring it up. It's interesting. Sometimes on your pickups, they'll get a little tilty on you, on humbuckers especially. And sometimes just moving the adjustment screw on the guitar can level them up. Just loosening it and tightening back up. If you don't need to raise the height or anything, or lower it, sometimes just turning the screw will make a little teeny tweak down there to that spring, maybe spin that spring ever so slightly, and you'll be amazed at what that will do to leveling off your pickups. Almost there. I'm going for 6. Okay, so this pickup, unfortunately, I'm not able to lower it. It needs to go down, but it's damn close right now. I'm going to call that good. That one's awful darn close. It's a little too close. You don't want to get your pickups too close to your strings. That's a really bad thing. As you all know, it will kill the sustain of the guitar because the magnets in your pickups grab those strings and stop them from vibrating. And there we go. So our pickup height is good. So now I'm gonna grab me a guitar cable and I'm gonna take a look at the chat, see what's happening up here. Feisty, hello. Oh. Or let's see. I just want outside to see why my chickens. Oh, cool, cool. You're precisely right. 1/8. That would be 4/32 of an inch, which the measuring devices that I have do not show 1/8 of an inch. They show 64ths. And then I have another device that shows 32nds specifically. So I just call them out by the 4/32 or 64ths. Let's grab this nice long cable here. That way I'll use a nice long cable today in doing this work so that I can plug it into my computer and actually play the song through an amplifier. So let's see what's happening with the intonation of this guitar. Now, I do know that this thing was set up. The last time anybody did work on it was done by specifically my journeyman at my shop. So I'm guessing that I'm probably not gonna have to do much. Just checking that machine head. It felt a little wonky. Dead on. I'm gonna be out of work. That D string is ever so slightly sharp. I'm going to go ahead and move this saddle back just a hair. I'm lengthening the length of the string to bring that intonation. Might as well do it. And as you can see, it doesn't take long, although this guitar was set up so nicely to begin with. Still just ever so slightly sharp. I'm going to move it just a little teeny bit more. I'm gonna give it one more little good faith turn here. Nice. Better put a beeper on the back of that truck so everybody behind you can hear you coming. Make it as loud as you can make it. Man, this thing is pretty perfectly intonated. I apologize. Well, I'm not sorry for all the noise. For some reason, no matter what I do, perfect. No matter what I do, they gotta turn on all the heavy equipment whenever I'm doing a live stream. That's their job, right? Okay, I'm gonna plug in here and open up my. Let's see, what should I use? I'm gonna use Petrucci. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'd say she's about set up. I think she's ready. Yeah, nice. New strings, new oil, new a little bit of fret work or polished frets, uh, and a little bit of string action and a little bit of intonation touch up. And she's ready. And it took about an hour, and I've talked a little bit and actually played the instrument after doing all the math. I know that there are some guys who do setup work, and they're great, but I think that there are definitely some techs out there that don't play guitar, and so to play them is a really important part of the work that I do. So that's that. So the old shiny Fender Jagmaster is ready for our next gig, whenever that might be. So we'll unplug her, and we'll get out the other Jagmaster. Get my camera out of the way. On a hard case, definitely. If you're a gigging musician, buy a hard case for your guitar. Don't be taking your guitar to a gig in a bag. That's not wise. Ask me how I know. So this one, this guitar, let me get this, is the twin sister of the other one. And this one, he literally just bought this guitar, and it's never, we've never done any work on it. The saddles look pretty good, and it looks like they're following the neck radius, but never done anything with the truss rod. So basically, I'm starting with this one fresh. So what I'm going to do initially is plug it in and see how the electronics work, and if there's any glitchiness in the controls. We'll make sure that the volume control works. Yeah, nice and smooth on the volume control. They turn a little hard. They don't turn real great, but or real fast. But he's always basically on 10 until the song ends, and then he turns the volume off. But sounds like you like those strings. Yeah. Was it enough to change? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna swap strings types out on my own guitars, but these things are really responding nicely to the work that I'm doing. So I won't change mine, but it's kind of giving this thing a good once over here. These are the ones that Scott loves, so God bless him. We're gonna put a whole new set on this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get these strings off of here. I'm not gonna measure anything with these old strings on it. We're gonna just do another a full setup and basically repeat what I just did. We'll clean up the fingerboard and clean up the frets and do all of that stuff. So just you know, second verse same as the first. And one thing I might recommend to Scott, I don't know if he's considered doing, I'm sure he has, but he does break a lot of E and B strings when he's playing rhythm guitar. And this is a case where I might recommend that rather than use 10s, this is a 10 gauge set, that he use 11s, switch up to 11s to see if he breaks fewer strings. But you know, he's been using 10s forever, and you know, it's hard to make that move. But I might recommend that to him on the next time we do it, just to try and save him from breaking strings so often. It doesn't cause us any issues because he just grabs another guitar. In fact, we were in the middle of a song last night that he is the main rhythm guitar player on, and he broke a string on that silver guitar, and I don't typically play rhythm guitar on that song, but given the fact that I've played it so many times, I was able to pick up where he couldn't, because his string was busted and he was missing that important, very important string, which I believe was the B string, and it was really a bummer for him. He was kind of disappointed, it seemed like, with himself, but of course we never let on that we're upset about anything. If you're playing live, always have a smile on your face, or do your best. But I could tell he was a little disappointed that he broke that string, but during the song, he right in the middle of it, he didn't miss a lyric. He reached back and grabbed this guitar and got it put on, didn't miss a word, and the show went on as if we'd planned it like that. So he, you know, there's something to be said for him being a pro, and he definitely is. Been doing this a long time. We've been doing this music together a long time. So it's great to have bandmates who are so affluent and willing and able to deal with little problems that arise. So before I do anything else, we're going to clean this thing up. Got some serious scratches on it. I'm not going to do it at this time, but we might want to take a polishing compound to this guitar. It definitely has some, probably there was a decal on this, almost certain of that. Yeah, this thing had a decal on it and got taken off. And he might have bought it with a decal, but we should take some polishing compound to this and get it all shiny again. There's a little bit of scratches on the finish. So let me get you down here in the business. Sorry about that if I there we go. Just gonna clean it up. This is something that I do on my own guitars. Is, you know, every time I put a new set of strings on it, I go over it with some polishing just guitar polish 65. Helps get rid of like fingerprints and spit, beer, you know, whatever DNA might be on the guitar. It's kind of fun, and it makes them look nice and new and shiny. I don't know if you can see the dullness right here, if my camera's showing that very well, but it definitely got a little bit of scritchety scratch going on there. We could polish that out or buff it out, and we will do that eventually. Maybe the next string change we'll do that. This Dunlop 65 guitar polish has been something I've used for a long time. I love this stuff. It's not, it doesn't have any grit in it. It's just a really light cleaning agent. If you ask me, it's more of a cleaning agent than it is a polishing agent. And yes, this is a Squire. It's a Squire Stratocaster or a Jagmaster. It's not a like a 68, you know, Jag. This is just a inexpensive guitar ultimately. And it got us through a gig last night and it sounded fantastic. There's one good, nice divot right here in the back of the neck that I'm not going to put anything in it today, but man, I really should. Um, yeah, I'm gonna eliminate this. I'm not gonna be able to do it all today, but I am gonna do something with that here after I get her all set up and fill that in. Pretty good little divot. I don't know if you can see that nick right there in the neck, right here. That might be, if you, oh yeah, my thumb's just landing on that thing. That sort of stuff is a little annoying. I mean, in some cases, it's been there on a guitar so long that the guy who owns the guitar just loves it. But I like to keep my necks. If I get a ding like that in it, I have no fear of filling that ding with CA glue. And here's another thing that I don't like on guitars is the plastic showing. I'm gonna try and, oh, this is my flat nose. Oh boy, I might need to get a special wrench for this one. Maybe I can get it with this. We'll see. I want to do my best to not scratch the nut on here, but this plastic, there we go. You see this plastic sticking up from under the switch. I'm going to try and get that off of there for him so it doesn't look ugly. This is something that new Fenders, they all have this plastic, and to get it off of these things can be a pain in the neck. So we'll get rid of this. So now that's gone. So now we'll have it looking nice and like it doesn't have plastic sticking out from underneath. That stuff looks just goofy. I mean, you can barely see it, but I ain't afraid. That's all it took. A lot of this stuff, if you've never done it before, it can be quite frightening to try to do. And, like pulling this nut off of this pickup selector switch, you could potentially pull that nut off of there and the switch would fall all the way down inside the guitar and vanish. And, that can be an intimidating thing to do. Yeah, there we go. Do this. There we go. A little bit of white stuff there. I'm going to see if I can't get that stuff off of there. I'm going to try with a little bit of Dunlop. This is from somebody hitting it really super hard with a pick. Well, and Scott's not real worried about his guitars looking all pristine and brand new and all that stuff. In fact, really, I don't think any of us are. Who cares if their guitar looks new, right? If it looks new, you probably haven't been playing it, right? Yeah, okay, okay, okay. All right, let's clean off the fingerboard. Here we go again. Second verse, same as the first, like I said. We're going to polish the frets up. And these ones aren't nearly as dirty as the ones on that other guitar, so this shouldn't take nearly as long, but we'll get them looking nice and shiny. me check the chat. Sorry, you guys, I haven't been. Hey, Preston, what's happening? Marshall, I'll tell you about a cool amp. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, these ones are, as you can probably see, I don't know how well my camera's showing this, but uh, these are all the oxidation and such that's on these frets is coming off really quickly. Sometimes it's like this, and sometimes they're like that other guitar that I had to work on each fret for several seconds to get them clean and shiny. So this one is going to go by, this is going to go a lot quicker in the whole cleaning aspect, but I'm still going to go ahead and get my toothbrush out and clean the fingerboard and then knock all the old DNA and whatever kind of lemon oil or whatever stuff that the previous owner may have used on it and get it started with some linseed oil and probably be using that on the remainder of the life of this guitar. Uh, as long as Scott lets me work on his guitars, that's what we'll use, right? And Scott is a very, the vocalist in my band, he's a very good guitar tech all on his own. Um, he knows how to set up intonation and he knows how to, clean a fingerboard and he knows the proper materials to use and stuff. He's no slouch. Um, but he also owns a business and he works long hours and he provides a really great service for the community. And I feel honored and privileged to be able to do some work like this for my friend. Um, so pretty cool to be able to do this sort of stuff and help somebody out. Let's see. Preston, I know you're here, brother. I'm going to look at the messages that you're leaving me here in just a moment. I want to finish polishing these frets up real quick, get this stuff out of the way. So I don't think my Uncle Steve made it to this live stream. And if he did and he's here, I may not know how to use the chat. I'm not sure. I think I missed this one. Boy, it's amazing. I know my camera is it's a cheap, webcam. It probably doesn't show details. But boy, that looks so much nicer. And it'll give Scott a real good kind of fresh starting point to be able to mess this guitar up all on his own. So we'll have a good clean starting point to get this thing all dirtied up like he likes his guitars. So simple green. I'm gonna go ahead and put this towel. I like to put this towel over the guitar to keep the simple green from splattering all over the body, because this stuff will leave, I mean, you can wipe it off, but it'll leave kind of ugly little black spots on the finish. And, I end up having to clean up simple green, which is a cleaning agent, of course, after I've used it, because it does splatter around and it'll leave little spots up here on the headstock. So I'm not in the habit of doing this, but me putting my hand here will keep it from splattering all over the headstock. And this neck is actually pretty clean. I don't think this guitar has been played much. It's just been treated very poorly. given all the dings and stuff that I see on it. The frets hardly have any wear on them at all. So this guitar has definitely not been played a lot. And Scott literally just got this guitar within the last month. So he hasn't had a chance to fuck it up. And this is his backup guitar to his main ride, which was the silver one. So, you know, it's really important when you do this. Don't just wipe off the top of the neck. Go get all that simple green off of the neck. Get it off the fingerboard, and then definitely go turn your attention to the back of the guitar and really make sure that you get all the drips and stuff off the back, because it will leave like ugly marks, like drip stains on it, and they can be a little bit more difficult to get off. So I usually make short work of that. All right, it's looking good. I'm gonna give that a few seconds to dry up. We'll let that settle up. I can see the board kind of turning gray. Have a sip of coffee here. Woo-hoo. Oh, and everybody say thank you to Ron Ward for playing such wonderful music from independent artists. He's revamped his show on YouTube. So if you play and record music, probably should get a hold of him. Let's see, Preston. I like those colors, yeah. 1, 2. Oh, you went to a metal show last night. Oh, good grief. 300 photos? Wow. Good luck, man. Have fun editing those. That's cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did too. Yeah, Bill, he's a very busy man in his old age. You know I'm joking, but it's legit. I've been flipped enough shit by that guy that I can give a little payback. Payback's just a little. Well, I've apparently lost the lid to my semi-chrome polish. What did I do with that? Where'd you go? Well, let me clean up some junk off of my desk here and get some of this stuff out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Amazing the mess you can make just working on a guitar, especially two of them. Good grief. Yeah, I called him this morning too. He had a doctor's appointment yesterday, so he's probably like totally exhausted. I know. And I'm laughing with him. I know he's dealing with some pretty serious health stuff, but he's hanging, man. He gave me oh, Bill. Where are you? Oh, I put those photos. Uncle Steve gave me a photo that you gave him of a photograph of the dry docks on Willamette, which I cried because when I saw that picture, my mind went to being 4 years old again and standing on those docks in my childhood. Just very, very special. I don't know if you realize the photograph you took in literally 1974, brother, could have impacted me so emotionally. It was really super cool to see that. And now I will have that photograph on my wall. So I have, oh, there it is. I found the cap to my polish here. I'm going to grab that real quick and throw all this crap away. I found it All right, give me a second. I gotta throw this in the garbage. Right? All right. So there's that. So this one's ready for strings. Oh no, I gotta put linseed oil on it first. Let's oil up the fingerboard. We let it dry, let the simple green evaporate. I took about 6 pictures last night at our gig. It was so much fun. God, I wish we could play more, but getting booked is not always the simplest thing. We're not Michael Jackson, right? And there aren't a ton of clubs booking. Well, I mean there are, but seems like most of the music being done now is like folk, acoustic singer-songwriter shit because bars can book that sort of stuff. And I don't mean shit. It's not shitty music or anything, but it costs a bar $100 to book a singer-songwriter for a night, whereas it costs them a little bit more to book a band. So I think that's a big reason why live music isn't as prominent as it's been in the past before the pandemic. Uh, I'm seeing a lot of just singer-songwriter and a lot of like just acoustic mandolin type stuff. No real rock band, and our band is straight up rock, rock and reggae. We'll play some Sublime and Maroon 5, Blink 182. Let's see, what else? What other bands? We don't do any Foo Fighters stuff. Everybody's heard that enough. We don't play any Leonard Skinner. We will, but it costs you $500. We've done some Bob Seger. Uh, you know, we do a lot of pop rock stuff. 4 bands makes it a little easier to sort. Yeah. I don't understand that. Okay, so strings. Let's put some strings on this thing. Here we go. And then I'll be able to check once I get strings on it and get them kind of stretched out and stuff and tuned, I'll be able to do the neck relief and all of that. So I don't think he put new strings on. He may have. He may have put a new set of strings on this. So this may be the first set of new strings this guitar's had for a while. I don't know. But we're going to make sure she's all in good shape. Scott's a really, really solid rhythm guitar player. And so I really want to make sure that, you know, the intonation of the guitar is really dialed in. It just helps everything sound better when you're performing live. And I know that's not something that just anyone can hear. You've got to have a pretty well-trained ear. But, you know, if you're at a show and it sounds like the band's out of tune, it's usually because one of the guitars or the guitar itself is not intonated correctly. So there's a little detail of why, you know, it's important to have your guitar intonated, just one of the many reasons. So I think it's important to have this kind of stuff done and checked out every once in a while because these screws will move. Even though they have that little spring behind them, they will absolutely move over time just from the vibrations of the strings. So here we go. String changing 101. 2 wraps. I'm going to have to get my coffee off my bench before I spill it on this guitar. Come on. Playing hard to get here. There we go. These strings do have an interesting texture. Hey, Rody, what's happening, brother? Happy Saturday. Great to see you. We go doing string changing 101. There aren't many better ways to do it than what I do, but you might think so. I know guys tie knots and do all the little bendy bullshit with their guitar strings, but I don't know. I've seen one other way that a guy did his strings that was actually really a cool idea. Um, but at the same time, the string was overlapping the other. The string was bent and it overlapped, and I just am really nervous about doing that because to me that presents an opportunity for the string to cut itself. Uh, so, but of all of the other ways I've seen to change strings, that one actually might be faster than my method to get a set of strings. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad way to do it. And I know that the guy that does that does not break a lot of strings. He plays a lot of live music. He's a great blues guitar player. But he showed me a way that he does it. And when I did some setup work for him a couple years ago, he demanded that I put the strings on like that. And so I did. I'm not opposed. If somebody wants me to do that and put their strings on a specific way, I will not refuse to do that. Because my customer is always right. Right? Almost got him. There we go. Come on. Yeah. Okay, let's tune them up and stretch them. All right. Hey, Brad, what's happening? Happy fucking birthday, brother. You're gonna be as old as I am before too much longer, bro. I got my I'm in my apartment doing work today, so I know it looks a little different than my normal live streams. So I'm able to watch the chat way over here. So if I look like I'm looking in a weird direction, it's just for that reason. My snark froze. Does that your snarks ever do that when you're tuning up your guitar? They just don't register a note. You got to turn them off, turn them back on, and they work again. Oh, you're very welcome, Brad. Thanks for coming and stopping in today. Did you catch any? Did anybody else catch that Ron Ward is back to doing live streams again? Sounds like he might be doing music once again. Yeah, Bill, 2 exact same guitars in one day. These guy, he plays in the band with me, and these are his. This is his weapon of choice. He bought that silver Jag and he just loved the way it looked so much. And then he the neck on it was messed up or it got broke or something, and they put a new neck on that silver one that I did earlier, and he just absolutely loves that guitar. Let me see. Just got off the phone with the Luth. Oh yeah. He need a fuse on for the pots, yeah. Jazz bass. Okay. Yeah, you might be we've talked a little bit about that jazz bass and you're having some buzzing issues. Um, what I can tell you is that in putting copper shielding has never made a guitar worse. Uh, Never say never or always, but in this case, putting copper shielding in any guitar with single coil pickups has always made it better, has never made it worse. So I will speak firsthand of that. And you know, Brad, you're at a level of playing and production that is definitely professional. And I know that what you're hearing, maybe a lot of people maybe wouldn't hear it, but you're hearing it and it's bugging the shit out of you. And I get it. And I'm telling you, every bit of knowledge that I've got and experience that I have, I'm throwing at you as best I can. It sounds like your luthier is on the right, going the right direction for you. Um, the thing sounds pretty good. It's just staying in tune really nice. Yeah, and the string action looks like it's damn near perfect. I'm gonna check the neck relief now. I like to get them new strings and get them all stretched out, and tuned up, and all that stuff. Then we check the neck relief. Man, it's identical to the other one. It's actually a little bit. It's a little bit lower. This is 11 thousandths. I brought my 11 thousandths feeler gauge home. I usually go 12, but let me do a real quick fret buzz inspection. I'm going to look at the string action here. Says so the string action is actually a little bit higher than what I would leave it at. So I'm going to go ahead and go across this. I've done the neck relief and it's fine. I didn't have to touch a thing on it. So I'm going to oh, these are metric hex keys on this one. So we're going to use a 1.5 mil should fit this just perfectly. Typically on a foreign made or a Mexican made, well, on Fenders it doesn't matter if it's made in Taiwan or that, you're going to have metric hex key sizes on these. If it's made in Mexico or the United States, you may or may not have imperial size keys. So we're gonna have to do this little setup here. A little bit of setup work. String action was just a little bit high. That looks good. And that G string is just a little bit low. Let's change that. Oh wow, that was interesting. That one foot wasn't even touching the bridge. I'm gonna bring that D string down just a hair. And you guys, you know, I mean, I do this every day at work, and it's amazing how many times when you're adjusting one of these saddles. I hope my camera guy is doing a good job. Where I'll go to adjust something and I'll need to raise the string action, so I need to tighten that down, and I'll turn that the adjustment stud or whatever you want to call it, and it's not even touching the base of the bridge. They get loose, but the saddle sits there flat because it's being squeezed between the two next to it. So that's another thing that you can check just as a piece of unsolicited advice, is, you know, put a hex key in there and just make sure that it's bottomed out so that it's supporting the saddle to its full potential. Because if you have a guitar that's going out of tune a lot, that could be the reason why. I'm not saying it is, but and I think our B and E string on this are a little bit high. I can see that. And another thing you can do to help that thing, like I was talking about, where the set screw, you can just take your finger and push down on them. Make sure they're sitting on the bridge where they're supposed to. Now, Scott does not use his whammy bar at all. And I can see that this one with these strings on it is floating a little bit. Can you, where are we at? There we go. Maybe you can see that lifted on the back side of that. So I am going to take care of that right now, because I know he doesn't want that floating. He doesn't use a whammy bar ever. So we're going to bury these screws. I'm going to give them just a little more, which is going to change the tuning of the guitar. So I'll have to retune the guitar, of course. And so now it should be, let's see. I'll make sure that thing's bottomed out. Yeah, I can still move a little bit more. So I'm going to give these tensioning screws a little bit more of a turn. I want that thing to pull that bridge all the way down flat. Now we're talking. So now it's totally flat, right? So I'll check the tuning on this. It should be a little bit sharp. There we go. Okay. So now, now that I've got that bridge sitting flat on the top of the guitar, which is how his other one is set up, exactly how it's the other one's set up. Now I need to re-measure my string action on this thing, and it didn't. That little teeny adjustment that I just made didn't change the string action at all. That was such a tiny little move, but I think a very important one for how Scott likes his guitar set up. He likes the He likes this thing just buried into the top, so it doesn't have any movement. He never uses a whammy bar, which, you know, it would probably be wise if that was the case to just buy a hardtail guitar, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. The little things, the little things, the little things. Still a little bit high. So overall, I've lowered the action on this guitar a little bit across pretty much all six strings. Just other than the low E. Now we're talking. Okay. I know, isn't it fun? The tuning. I'm gonna check the chat here in just a moment, you guys. I want to try and stay busy. Give him another little tug here. And my goal right now is to make this his #1 guitar and the other one. Okay? Not really. Hope everybody's having a really great Saturday. Mine's going just fantastically. Got up nice and early this morning. Sounds like the intonation on this guitar is already pretty good. And something you might notice that I'm doing with my technique and checking for fret buzz is making sure to deliberately hit each note as accurately as possible to hear. You know, I see a lot of guys, they check it and they do something like, well, how do you know if you even hit the fret in the right place? You know, so so it's a little time consuming, but now I'm checking with bends because I lowered the string action ever so slightly, and I want to make sure that when you bend a note, you get the same open ringing, because sometimes if you get the string action too low, you bend a note a full step, and the frets up here will catch that string because of the radius of the fingerboard. So you got to be careful about getting them too low. And that's what I was talking about much earlier in my broadcast about an hour and a half ago or so, is that if you have your string action too low, it might play really nicely and you can play like a jazz player, but the moment you bend the string, the note vanishes. It'll sound like it's fretting out. This thing sounds clean as a whistle. And another thing is, you know, when I'm playing, after I'm done setting up a guitar and I've stretched the strings and tuned it and done all the adjustments, I do this little thing where I'll bend notes really far. Not that people play their guitars that aggressively, but it also helps, in my humble opinion, helps to settle the strings in to where they're just in tune and you just can't bend them out of pitch, or you can't bend them out of tune. They relax and they land. Got a little cramp in my finger. I need to drink some water. Let's check the intonation, see what that's telling us, and then we'll plug her in, play along with the backing track, eh? Eh? And forgive me for not staying on top of the chat. Just trying to stay focused here as best I can on this instrument. Let's see where our intonation is. Oh well, I can see I'm using a Peterson strobe tuner. So we're a little bit sharp. So I may have to, that adjustment that I made to the bridge when I tightened it down, that may have changed the intonation ever so slightly. And this low E string was a little bit sharp. Very good. And I can hear that the A string is a little bit sharp also. I mean, I can literally hear the pitch difference. We're going to move that ever so slightly. Still a little bit sharp. I'm going to use my bigger screwdriver head. These screws, I think, have been, usually that size, like a number 2 screwdriver won't even fit in your in those little set screws in the back, or the adjustment screws in the back, but still sharp. And it's amazing sometimes, no 2 guitars are alike. Sometimes you got to move a saddle a long way to get it to the intonation to change at all. And don't let that fool you. It's kind of like I look at it as I look at knobs on a guitar amp. Don't look at the knob, listen with your ears, and when it sounds good, then don't worry about where the knob is at, where it's pointed at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever. Intonation adjustments and the way guitars behave is almost always on an individual basis. And you can notice that I've moved this saddle quite a long ways, and it's still not. And it was really subtly out on my tuner. There we go. I don't know how well those of you watching in the stream or listening in the stream can hear what I'm doing, because I don't have the guitar plugged into an amplifier or anything, but it definitely, I could hear that A string was a little bit sharp. The D string is perfect. And the G string is just a little bit sharp, so we're going to move it. And we're talking, the amount that it's out of intonation is such that you'd have to have pretty much have perfect pitch to hear it. But if I have the opportunity to make it perfect, I will do that. And I would rather lean on the side of the string, if I have to, rather have it be a little bit flat than sharp. Dead on. That's that little adjustment made that perfect. Let's put her in, see what she sounds like. We're about done with the old red monster here. Ready to do some gigs. A few minor adjustments on this guitar, nothing really too drastic. One thing I did not do was adjust the pickup height. Let's do that. See what the pickup height is doing. It looks like it might be a little bit low, but really, this one is definitely too close. So I'm going for fours again, 8/64ths, which would be 4/32. Yeah, they're both a little bit close. I can see that, so I'm gonna drop this one just a hair, see if it will. And it did. I think. Okay. You want 3/32 or 6/64, and that's perfect. So this one is way too close. Well, it's about a, I don't know, 32nd of an inch. Yeah, too close. So it's interesting how sometimes you adjust the set screw or the adjustment screw and the pickup doesn't move. You got to be real careful. Let me see what's happening here. So yeah, it's the pickup's catching. It's catching on something underneath the pick guard probably. Do I want to pull this pick guard off of this thing? What do you think? Should I take the time to pull the pick guard off of this to see why these pickups won't drop down any further? Check my blood sugar. That's a good bit of advice. Where am I? Let's see. I did do my insulin and stuff this morning. What am I at? I'm a little bit higher than I like, but it's comfortable. I could live the rest of my life with a blood glucose of 142, and I'd live as long as anybody. When you start getting up in the 160 to 180 range, and you're doing that for extended periods of time, that's when you lose toes and vision and kidneys start to vanish. But given the fact that I'm in such tight control, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of insulin just to try and be a good example to other diabetics out there. My blood glucose is currently 142, and I know that my basal rate requires me to drop my blood glucose 50 points. It's 1 unit of insulin. So I'm going to take 1 unit of insulin, that much. And if the sight of syringes triggers you, I'm sorry, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and this is how I take care of my health. It's not how I get off on stuff. I have to do this every day. So I'm taking a shot with that much insulin, right? You can see how little that is. But it'll take about maybe a half an hour for this to take effect. So I have to take injections that are that small, and the needle is like teeny, to make sure that I'm in check, and it's going to keep my toes on my feet, and my vision, and keep my fingers dexterity up, and avoid getting shit like, it even helps as a diabetic, the thing, other joint problems, anyway. So I think I'm gonna is there mounted in the pickguard. I don't know why that pickup won't go down, won't drop. I'm gonna lower this. I'm gonna see if I can lower this again. Let's see what's happening here. It's like I'm turning that screw, but the pickup's not moving. Let me go ahead and lower this side. This is way too high. I wonder if these pickups have been swapped out and that they're just hitting the bottom of the cavity. That's probably what's going on here, but whew, I got it. Okay, so just turning the screws a little bit has coaxed this thing into adjusting. 6/64, and let's see, we should be at 4/64. We're almost there. This pickup was way too close to the strings. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. We're dead on. All right. So what's she sound like? Amazing what a volume knob does. I mean, it's truly remarkable what a volume knob does, isn't it? Let's see, guitar backing track. I'm going to try groovy melodic backing track in G minor. G minor, okay? So G minor, so if I go down 5, we're going to go down 5. We'll try this. Groovy guitar backing track in G minor. I don't know how well this will come across. It's working. I'd say it's working. Yeah. So there you go. Shut up on a good old-fashioned Squire Jagmaster. I think it's ready to play a gig. Yeah. Maybe go live a little later on this evening. We'll see what happens. I got a full day Saturday. It's 2 o'clock. The night is young. So we'll probably be back a little later on. Let's see. Let's see, Preston. Can you text me? Let's see. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't have the high quality sound going in there. It's a microphone on this little camera. It's not like it would be of any quality whatsoever. They make built-in failure in everything we buy these days. So, thank you all for hanging with me. We did a couple of Jagmasters today. So I hope you all have a really wonderful Saturday. Thanks for hanging with me, those of you who did. And I'll be back sometime in the future with more, hopefully, stuff you can learn from and some good music. Thoughtful music. How's that? You guys have a really great day. Peace, y'all. Thanks for hanging.